Hi, everybody. Tim Hughes here. I'm the CEO and co-founder of DLA Ignite. Today, I have with me Avrohom. Have I got that right?
Avrohom.
Okay, thank you. And we're talking today about the human element of technology. But before we go any further, explain to people where they can get hold of you.
Yeah, so Tim, thank you so much for having me on your show. I really appreciate the opportunity. Best way to find me is asktheceo.biz, ask the CEO, one word, .biz. I'm also active on LinkedIn. You could just look up my name. I'm sure, Tim, you gotta have it spelled out.
Yes, Avrohonn.
No. So Avrohom.
Yeah.
And the last name is Gottheil.
Yep.
So look me up on LinkedIn, and I'm always happy to connect. And also feel free to connect with me on Twitter at Avrohomg, Avrohomg.
So that's Avrohom Gottheil.
Correct.
Fantastic. So today we're going to talk about the human element of technology. And I know that a lot of us that are involved in technology can get absorbed into the artificial intelligence. It's wonderful and it's going to change the world and stuff. But you've actually done quite a lot of work in terms of looking at the human element of technology and the impact, good and bad. So why don't you just give us a background, in terms of what you've been doing and what you've been seeing?
Sure. So, I mean, that was a great segue, a great introduction to this topic that you gave. If we're hearing about all these different kinds of smart gadgets, right? The term smart home is already a household term. Everybody knows about it. You've got your smart lights, your smart air conditioner, your smart refrigerator. So there's all these cool technologies. And for the early adopters, the technology is a cool toy, right? It's tech. It's the latest cutting edge tech, and we get it all. But what about the average person, you and me? How does it benefit us? And that's what I like to look at. And actually, not only you and me as users, but you and me as people that work for companies, people that run businesses. How does this technology help us? How does it help us to develop the latest cool smart refrigerator? Especially now we're in a global pandemic. Nobody's buying $1 million refrigerators. So what's in it for them? And how does the CEO keep the lights on? And how does he continue paying the salaries for his employees while the technology isn't as hot as it was a year ago? So these are the things that I look at. These are the questions that I ask when I look at technology. And this is what I call the human element. How does it benefit us as humans? So, right. So, I'll take you through a scenario. You've got a
smart please do.
Right. And, we've all heard about these smart refrigerators where you can walk up to it and order groceries directly from your refrigerator. Wow. Wonderful. Never have to stock the refrigerator again. So the human side of it is not that, I'm too lazy to go to the grocery store, but I'm working 6 different jobs to try to feed my family. I'm really busy, and going to the grocery store is something I don't have time for. And it's such a wonderful thing. I could just, click on this nice touch panel and get my groceries ordered.
But we also don't need to go to the shop and because we're in the middle of a pandemic as well. So.
Yeah, exactly. But, the idea is that it gives people back time in their day, gives people control over their day. Now, speech-enabled technology is something that's becoming increasingly popular. Many of us have Alexas.
I've got an Alexa. I've got 2.
Right. And it's something that is gaining popularity, right? So imagine the following. You have this AI-enabled refrigerator. You walk up to it and go, "Hey, refrigerator, do we have milk?" And then your AI-powered refrigerator responds in a snarky attitude, "Yes, but at the rate that you're drinking it, it ain't going to last much longer." And then it responds, "But Amazon's got them on sale, at Amazon Fresh, and I can order it, and it'll be here in an hour on a drone." So think about that. You just had a conversation with your refrigerator, and your refrigerator responded in a personalized human conversational way. Right? Not a robot machine, but it gives you that personalized interaction. But it went beyond that. The AI was able to determine, number one, how much milk is in the refrigerator. Yeah. Number two, the rate of consumption of the milk, and then realize that the reason why you asked is not because you're bored, but because you want milk. And it looked up, your preferred vendor list to determine, who's got the best prices and who can get it to you at the rate that or at the speed that you need it, so that when that milk gets consumed, you've got another one waiting for you. All right, so that's pretty sophisticated.
Yep.
So that's cool technology and very exciting, because again, it's about giving people back control over their lives. Your lives are hectic enough as it is, and that gives you control. So that's part one. Part two is, like I mentioned, who's making that refrigerator? Right? Let's say GE. And we're going to pick on GE right now, but let's say GE is making this refrigerator, and hope they send me a commission.
Yeah, send me the fridge, GE.
Send me the check. I'll buy my own fridge. I'll buy my own milk.
Yes.
So, right, they made this refrigerator. They did R&D. It's a cool idea. They got venture capitalists to back this idea. And they poured millions of dollars into the investment in order to manufacture this fridge. Nobody foresaw the pandemic of 2020, still going on 2021, probably another year. And people are not buying smart fridges. So now what? They sold maybe a few thousand of them. They've got a whole stock of these refrigerators in their warehouses. They have an engineering team that they hired. They're paying bills. So the CEO is staying up at night worrying about, the staff of the company and the health of the company and what to do with this. So this is the beauty of that integration into e-commerce.
Right.
So the second part of that was where I said the refrigerator will offer to replenish the milk, whether it's Amazon, Peapod, or some your local grocery store. That is e-commerce. So what it's doing is the refrigerator is facilitating a sale. By facilitating that sale, that puts it into the sale, and now it's entitled to a portion of that through affiliate sales, a couple of pennies or whatever the arrangement is. So by leveraging the latest in technology, this AI, along with the e-commerce integration, a manufacturer has now converted a single purchase or a single transaction into a new source of recurring revenue. Right. And that's what I find really exciting.
Yeah. So you've got this balance between, there's a benefit that the consumer's going to get, but there's also now new business models for people to have.
Yes. Yeah. So these are the things that I find really exciting, because these are human problems. These are problems that keep people up at night. And this is how this technology helps solve those problems.
Mm. So what else are you seeing in terms of not just fridges? What other things are you seeing impacting in the world today, especially in pandemic?
Yeah, well, the fridge was just one example, but if we're looking at e-commerce trends, let's talk about the pandemic, right? Everybody's at home, everybody's ordering stuff online, and in fact, there's an increase. There's been an increase from the previous year in terms of the number of online orders being placed. So from an e-commerce perspective, I'm predicting that we're going to be seeing an increase in same-day delivery service. People are used to ordering things online. It's sort of like their new way of operating.
Yep.
Like right now, many of us have Amazon Prime, and we know we order something, and 2 days it's here, and many times next day. And we're used to that. And it's not that we're spoiled, but the world's pace has changed.
Yep.
And now to wait 5 days for a delivery is unacceptable, because that's just not how the market works anymore. Yep. So people are now getting into same-day delivery service. Amazon is testing their delivery by drone, near their headquarters. And this is something that's going to be a reality in the coming year, whether by drone, whether by some other autonomous form. Yeah. Right. So we've seen autonomous vehicles being tested in other parts of the world for deliveries. And, right now it's in testing phase because the technology is new, but we're going to see this becoming more mainstream. And for those businesses that haven't entered that market yet for autonomous delivery vehicles, like our local mom and pops, they'll offer couriers, those delivery vans you see all over the place.
Yep.
But same day delivery is big. And more than that, we're also starting to see some trends. It's still in its early stages, but 1 to 3 hour delivery.
Right.
I'm working on a project. I need 9-volt batteries. I'm out. I can't go to the store because I'm working on this project. I can't leave. I need it in 3 hours. So, there are real needs for same-day delivery, and people are willing to pay for it. So, the market's going to transition to that eventually, more instantaneous as drones become more mainstream, autonomous, delivery drones become more mainstream. These kinds of services will be, we'll be seeing more of that.
Mm. So what about things like automation and AI and people saying that it's just going to replace our jobs? And what do you think to that?
Yeah. So at the moment, it's a very sensitive topic because, a lot of people have lost their jobs due to the pandemic.
Yeah.
Also due to the local political climate, not to get into details, but tens of thousands of people have just been laid off, with a change in administration. Mm. And, a lot of people are hurting right now. Mm. So it's important for us, as industry thought leaders to be sensitive to that. But I don't want to address the broader picture of people being out of work, because it's sort of a time like like a local phenomenon in this current time. But it's taking a step back and talking about automation and AI just from a conceptual phase. Automation is not something new. No. Automation has been around for generations, from the 1800s. Ever since the steam engine was developed, and the automobile, and the Industrial Revolution. So it's a concept that's always been with us. What we're seeing is, though, that automation is something that's happening at a much quicker pace than it did in the past. So, for example, it used to be the paradigm, at least when I grew up and I went to school, the paradigm was you went to school, you went to college, you got your degree, you got a job with a good company, you did a great job, you rose through the ranks, and you retired from the company. Yeah. That was pretty much the paradigm of the previous generation, 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah. My parents were the same. Yeah.
Yeah. Over the last 10 years, though, that paradigm went out the window. And what we need to be mindful of is that this is happening faster and faster. We're not talking about a period of generations. We're talking about 5 years. Every 5 years, the industry is going to change now. I myself experienced some major disruption in my own career. I'm not that old, but I started my career in telecom. Right. And I've seen telecom go through a major disruption with cloud communications. Cloud pretty much disrupted many industries, and telecom was no exception. People aren't interested in buying these metal cabinets anymore. That's gone out the window. Mm-hmm. So I saw a disruption in my industry, and I was forced to reskill myself. I mean, here I am talking about technology, latest trends in technology, cybersecurity, AI, and things like that. I would have never imagined doing this 10 years ago.
Right.
It's a decision that I made because I was faced with a difficult situation. I was disrupted. I was out of work. And I wanted to do something, I recognized the trends, and I wanted to do something that has longevity. I didn't want to go into another technical field in the same arena and then find myself disrupted 5 years later. And that's why I picked this industry, because I recognize the longevity of this industry. So my advice to people is recognize that the industry is changing. The world is changing. We can't help that. We can't stop that. And we need to embrace that.
Yep.
And the onus is on us to reskill ourselves. And again, I'm saying that with intense sensitivity to many people have lost their jobs. I'm not referring to that. I'm talking about you and me. We're in a career. We have a stable job for the moment, a stable career. Keep your eyes on the future and understand that this is something that's changing, and you always need to think ahead. You need to constantly upskill and reskill yourself. So what can people do, though, right? We're faced with this situation. We know it's coming. Do we give in to fear? Do we crawl under our covers? So how do we do that? Yep. And so even though I'm a technologist, my focus is on the human element and what makes us unique as human beings. Because yes, AI is going to take your job away, but AI is not going to take you away. AI is not going to replace you. What makes you and me unique is our humanity.
Yeah, it does. Yes.
And we each have this creative spark, this creative spirit within us. We have the ability to do things that AI cannot and will never do. And that's our humanity. And we need to reach inside ourselves and tap into that humanity and leverage that to deliver value to others. And this is something that cannot ever be disrupted by AI.
Yeah, I agree. So what you're saying is that what we need to do is that whatever we're doing, we need to be thinking about the future, about where things are going to go, and then making sure that we upskill ourselves and constantly be in this process of learning and training to make sure that we stay relevant and up to date. Absolutely,
yes.
And on the basis that if we keep doing it rather than doing it every 5 years or something like that.
No. It's a constant learning process. And, just to give you an example, there's this new platform that just came out called Clubhouse.
Yes.
Right?
I'm on a Clubhouse after this.
Let's jump on that bandwagon. Let's learn Clubhouse. What is it all about? How do we use it? Don't think about monetizing and making money off of it.
Yes.
Play with it. Learn how to use it, understand it. Now you have a new skill. And same thing, the platform that we're on, right? Get to learn things, learn the technology that you see. Don't walk around with blinders and, oh, this is, you know, something that young kids are using or whatever. No, you learn it and learn how to use it, and then you're going to be getting these creative ideas. Oh, hey, you know, I played around with Clubhouse, and I think that we can benefit you by, you know, doing a Clubhouse session.
Let's set up a room and have a discussion.
Exactly.
I mean, the thing about Clubhouse is interesting is the way it's a great way of sharing ideas and getting other people to, in effect, crowdsource those ideas. Because if you don't know, you just ask the audience, and someone will come on stage and say, "Well, I did this."
Yeah, and you know, you hit another button of mine there with crowdsource. In the past, we've seen the gates of information being owned by, you know, very few people. You know, the media owned, pretty much owned that corridor of information, how that information flows. Social media has freed us from that. It has given us the ability to put ourselves out there and put ourselves in front of the market and let us interact with them directly without the middleman. So I love the term you use, crowdsource, because that's exactly it, and that's where the power is.
Yeah. That's been fantastic. Thank you so much. The 20 minutes goes so quickly. Thank you so much for coming on and spending some time with me today and sharing your insight. I think it's just a really interesting subject where sometimes we get too interested in the shiny object and not think about the human factors and also the business benefits and the business models that can change and will change. Obviously, we have to reskill.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much, and thank you for because we've put this off a couple of times, and I'm glad that we've actually been able to talk because it was October when we spoke, and I'm glad we've actually been able to. And thank you for sharing that. Thank you so much. Where can people get hold of you again?
Yeah, so you can find me on my website, asktheceo.biz, and also look me up on LinkedIn or Twitter at Avrohom.
Fantastic. I'll see you online.
Yep. Take care.
Thank you so much for today.